station. What can you tell us about the situation?
I came after the explosion or explosions and saw a police cordon. Malbec is very close, the station is very close to the European institutions. So a few hundred meters down the road is one long road that has European Commission and European Council. So this was just down from that. There are ambulances there, fire, police.
All right, so what you see with the Brussels airport attacks and the subway station also attacked is that this is part of unconventional warfare. Read the U.S. Army Guerrilla Warfare Handbook, Raids and Ambushes, Communication, Psychological Operations, Demolition, Counterintelligence, Mining and Sweeping. Read the U.S. Army Special Forces Guide to Unconventional Warfare, where it talks about devices and techniques for incendiaries. All right. This is all part of guerrilla warfare. Those are all systems that one would attack. And, you know, there are valid military targets. So that's one thing that separates these attacks from other attacks, such as the Charlie Hebdo attack or the Paris attack at concerts. Those attacks also have propaganda applications, but this one is more of a tactical military strike against transportation systems and stations. So when you look at this, what are the philosophies behind this? You know, Islam does not teach about attacking these things for the simple fact that these things did not exist, 1,400 years ago or so, right? They didn't exist. There was no airports and subway stations. So automatically one must come to the conclusion that unnatural warfare is a part of the situation, and more recent philosophies are feeding into this. So to say that, well, this is what radical Islam creates is foolishness. You have to look at it as a combination of modern philosophies with an influence, with being influenced by the Hadith and the Quran. So what are the modern philosophies that have either provoked this or that, are part of this that were needed to carry these things out? Well, it's very simple. The U.S. Army, okay, and the other factions of the American military intelligence especially, do psych ops and do propaganda against, Muslims. Their goal is to destroy, quote unquote, religious radicalism, fundamentalism, fanaticism, end quote. Okay, that is their goal. So who is responsible for these attacks ultimately? No matter how you slice it, it is Satanism, criminality, LGBT communities, feminism, atheism, and racism. These are the philosophies that attack the people from the Middle East that they call names. Okay? These are the philosophies that have provoked them to strike us. We are trying to push homosexuality and feminism on people who believe in God in a book that's 80% the same as the Bible. Do you really think this is just a war against radical Islam? It is a war against every devout person from every Abrahamic faith. The satanic Talmudic Jews wanting to get rid of the real Jews, whether they're Ethiopian Jews or they're righteous, white-skinned Jews who actually follow the Torah. The elements of Masonry and the military-industrial complex wish to get rid of religious people who make rich people look bad and stop them from doing their androgynous Baphomet agenda. When you look at the Baphomet, it is a dual-gender Baphomet, okay? The people who are doing this ultimately are Satanists. It's a mix between them doing it directly and them provoking it to happen. There is a psych op, a larger psychological operation. Remember, psychological operations, plural, is part of the official U.S. Army Guerrilla Warfare Handbook. They know that if they push Muslims' buttons, that explosions will result. Period. Before there was Muslims doing suicide attacks, There was Japanese. Okay, there was Vietnamese. The little children with grenades that would walk into camps and blow themselves up. Pearl Harbor, the kamikaze fighters. This is not a Muslim idea. This is a Eurasian idea, if anything. And who were the fanatics that inspired Muslim fanaticism? It was the Templars. It was the Crusades. The West started fanaticism with the purpose of wiping out all those who oppose the secret society structure of the world. Period. And we look at the gay movements. They're designed to provoke. Gay movements are created to provoke. And the gay movement itself was created as a result of a provocation when gays were persecuted, beat up, they're committing suicide, And so what do? They get together and they're very determined. And their determination is good for the New World Order. So a bunch of rich pagans and rich secret society Talmudic Jews funded their movement. Tel Aviv, Israel, the center for the LGBT movement. Don't you see that Israel has teamed up with pagan Gentiles, some of which pretend to be Christians? In the Catholic Church, for instance, the Jesuits, the Black Pope, they've teamed up because they have vested interest in taking on Islam, so they have empowered those philosophies that are known as spiritual bottom feeders to the righteous: Satanism, criminality, LGBT philosophies, feminism, atheism, and racism/eugenics. This has everything to do with the self-direction of humanity, with the grand architect of Freemasonry, with the eye and the perspective of Satan being incrementally reached step by step, and that is represented by the unfinished pyramid with the eye of providence. But the God of Masonry is a dual gender and is a light and dark God. A Christian believes that either you're righteous or you're not. A Muslim believes either you're righteous or you're not. A bunch of sissy feminists believe you can mix the two. Thus, you can apply the word satanic feminist. You can't say satanic Muslim. You can't say satanic Christian because their philosophies directly oppose Satan and his ways. Even if you just describe Satan by the Bible, Islam is against those things and takes a stronger stance on those things than Christians do. That's why their women cover up. Abigail Adams, America's first feminist, covered up. The modern feminists have teamed up with the LGBT community and cover up the fact that the first feminist movement, the first wave feminists, were almost exclusively Christians that would have sided with Muslims when it comes to their stance on homosexuality, on feminism, on dressing conservatively, aka slut shaming. They would have sided with the Muslims politically. They wouldn't have stoned people to death, but they would say, I agree that feminism, racism, eugenics, and so on is wrong. They were concerned with women's rights. And despite popular belief, not all of the Christians were racist in early America, in colonial America. Where do you think the abolition movement came from? It didn't fall down from the fucking sky. There were Christians who were opposed to slavery from the start. This country has been led by Masonic filth. Deists who believe that the prophet's revelations do not mean a thing and that all you need is nature to understand God. And they came to the conclusion that God is a combination of light and dark, when those of us who are Christians or Muslims know that the light and dark exist, but they are separate. Think about what I am saying. Listen to the rest of the video. I am the top martial artist in America, and I am being persecuted for my political views because I refuse to be an American. To be an American means you are a selfish, shallow, materialistic, conformist coward that accepts evilness and lies, and I refuse to do that. March 22nd, 2016. The top martial artist in America. They couldn't defeat me, even though they were covertly drugging me. We live in a world where the most powerful nation is a nation of cowards, sissies, feminazis, and scum. When you look at the feminist movement, female supremacism, supremacy in one, feminism, it is quite apparent that they are led by quote-unquote educated people. When you look at that Alex Jones video that I cited in my last video, the female was a Marxist. She was a communist. She was obviously into the occult. By the way, she was representing the major elements of the modern mainstream feminist movement. She was a communist, Marxist, Marxist communist. She was a secret society occultist. Okay, she was a radical feminist, and obviously she was accepted by mainstream feminism because she was the hardcore elements of it. I would compare her role in feminism to somebody who goes to a football game and paints themselves the whole team color, and they're one of the more outspoken of the fans, one of the more dedicated, someone who represents the symbols and the culture of being a fan of that team more than the other fans. They're representing hard, and that's what she was. And it's very funny how a lot of feminists, this goes over their head, they miss it. They don't realize that their culture is, their movement is a satanic movement that kills babies. There's no way around that. Okay? So, when you look at this, and you study it carefully, all these things on the wall, I think one thing I don't have here is some kind of representation of communism. But, it's close enough. Atheism mixed with feminism, feminism is a good representation of communism. And I got Zionism, when the Jews are the ones that started it. And of course, when you look at what's on that, and I'll take that picture of that and I'll put it up at the end. It says that they're trying to establish a world government, abolish national sovereignty or national governments. They're trying to break down the family, destroy organized religion, and a few other things. There's 7 points it makes about what it's trying to do. And these are absolutely the goals of feminists and communists and people in the occult. It's very interesting how this works and how, I've gone over this time and time again. But recently I was very much let down when a female viewer, kept trying to argue that feminism is not so bad. And I tried to explain to this person, look, it's like calling yourself a Satanist and saying that you don't worship Satan. Once you give yourself that label is controlled by Satanists, Marxist feminists, radical feminists, and gender feminists. Oh, that's another thing that she was in the middle. She was a gender feminist. She challenged, what it means to be a woman by, portraying herself as equal to men and as more of a man than a woman, and she had those rainbow glasses showing that it's the rainbow pride. So, when you look at what feminists are on the top level, she represented everything. They're LGBT people, who are occultists, who are basically share principles in common with communism, with Marxism, okay, and they're radical at the top level. These are the people who lead the movement. They're the people who define what it is, and she was someone who exemplified all these main characteristics of feminism. And of course, with this comes the witchcraft and the abortion and all these lowly activities that lesser forms of life, participate in. So, truly, in a world ruled by eugenicists trash, big pharma scum, eugenicists, population control, drug-pushing scum who have waged war on human health and natural medicine in a world controlled by indifferent, selfish feminists and LGBT scum with complexes, okay? There will be darkness, I assure you. Without the light from people like me, there will be darkness. This balance that Masons talk about, which is an absolute joke, there is no balance between light and dark. Dark cannot exist where there is the light. Either it is light or it is dark. Okay? That's how it is. So when the sun comes up in the morning, either there is light or there is darkness. Something blocks the sun and there is darkness. The light cannot exist with the dark. The night was not meant to exist with the dark. This balance you refer to is actually separation. It is not combination. It is separation. You have to separate me from the sickos or I will fucking kill them. So there's separation, not combination. And in turn, they want to soft kill me as the cowards they are. When you talk about the light, people who serve God Almighty, we are not cowards. We are not feeble-minded pussies. We have the wisdom to follow the Lord. You might not see it. We might not talk in a way that you associate with intelligence and wisdom. But we have the wisdom. We have the bravery. It is the cowards who serve the darkness who fight in pathetic, inferior fashions. When you think about a demon and an angel, okay, and I'm gonna really, lace you on this one. A lot of you don't understand this. I was trying to explain to you the difference between Horus and Set. A jackal is stronger than a falcon. If the falcon lowered itself to fighting the jackal's way, the jackal would prevail. But the falcon is similar to an angel flying down, striking the jackal at its throat and ripping it out. Ripping out its eyes. Surgical strikes. That is an angel and a demon. A demon typically is a big, strong, monstrous being. And an angel is a very surgical striker. Comes down, spear right into the demon's heart. Maybe lifts it off the ground, throws it up in the air. Now you could say, well, these things are, figurative. No matter how you slice it, it is what it is. When I compare myself to Horus, I'm not a falcon, obviously. But there are, I fight like a falcon. I triumph over evil as a falcon does in Egyptian mythology. And of course, you can't compare worms, maggots, and rats to a falcon. You know them by their works, including their military combat arts, their traditional arts. And without God's traditions, there will be darkness. If you try to conserve something that isn't what of God, there will be darkness. If you try to change what is of God, there will be darkness. So conservatives and liberals, mainstream movements, are, consist of darkness. To all you fools who do not understand, a great warrior of God is a beautiful thing. He's not a big, scary, intimidating monster. He's a beautiful being that strikes with resilience, with glory. So you'll see a lot of demons using their demonic scale. You're not big and strong enough, even though obviously I'm tall and strong. But I am built to deal surgical, effective, direct blows to my enemies to bring them down. I'm sure you all understand that a big guy in a street fight wouldn't be stupid enough to try to confront someone like me. I'm far more determined. I have far more willpower than they do. I would just directly strike them in the neck, kick them in the stomach, slash their fucking face, bash their fucking head against my knee, stab them 10 times in the neck, back, stomach, and fucking sides. And they would drop fucking dead before we reached the count of 8. What good would their muscle do for them then? if I lowered myself to try to wrestle them and fight like a lowly dog on the ground, rolling around in the mud, then perhaps they would prevail. But I strike as a falcon or an angel, and I kill the demonic filth. And it is a fucking shame that some of you do not understand that. You don't understand natural warfare and unnatural warfare. You don't understand combat arts and traditional arts of war. Nubian arts, Igbo arts, Angolan arts, Shaolin arts. You don't understand. And you want to troll and speak on what you know nothing about. Shrinks don't understand human nature, and they want to drug people over what they know nothing about. Masons don't understand what it means to be a man of God, and they want to mix it with Lucifer and talk about what they know nothing, and I do mean nothing about. The society is a result of a bunch of cowards who convince you that they're the experts, who know nothing about wisdom, leading the blind. The only thing worse than the blind leading the blind is the minions of Satan leading the blind. When it comes to leading the blind. The light cannot exist with the dark. And I'm not talking about white people not being able to live with black people. I'm sure that by now you understand what I mean. And because you have accepted conformity, materialism, shallowness, selfishness, cowardice, evilness, and lies, now there will be darkness. And I pray that the ancestors will preserve and protect my tribe and all good people. And safeguard the past as it was.
Your regiments cannot win my allegiance, Staka. Son of Nandi. Senzaga Kona Gajamazulu. The true descendant of Zulugamalande has dictated his choice. I will defend that decision with my life. I will not allow you to defile the divine rituals of my tribe. Now lift this claw. Now!
Skujana. Kill this man. He has insulted the king.
No. There will be darkness. I pray that the ancestors will preserve and protect our tribe and safeguard the past as it was.
Nothing will be as it was.